everybody, Eric Wingman Peterson bringing you all news and updates on Star Citizen from the Cloud Imperium team. Hope you had a good time. Hope you're ready for this episode. We got a pretty decent show. We're going to record 2 shows in one day because the Winger is going to Atlantis on vacation. Yeah, who knew they discovered it and they put an island there with all these tropical drinks and fruity stuff. This guy, obviously. We got a nice show this week. We got the Week in Review. We have forum feedback. We have Wired World News featuring tidbits from the world at large. And we have an interview with Ron LaJoie. Let's get right to it. We're in HD. Can you see the wrinkles? I know I can. It's not pretty. Anyway, last week we had the problem in HD where it was like that all the time. And so therefore, this week we're going with straight up putting it out on the site at 11 a.m. Instead of trying to live stream until YouTube works out their problems. We'll figure it out. Also this week, we hit our $10 million goal. I cannot thank you guys enough. Unbelievable. We're extremely happy, gratified. We can't be thankful. It's just amazing. Honestly, it's going to allow us to have a mocap studio. We've already ordered the parts. I'm busy looking around for locations for it. We've got a couple that we could have the whole team in. Others we could separate it off. It's going to be a really, really good deal, and it's also going to help us in the making of Star Citizen, because we can sit there and we can go there anytime we want and put bits and pieces together, mocapped with just ourselves, with Brian, myself, or somebody else in the mocap suit, and get that out to you so we can add content. It's going to make it easier for us to add content, which is a big deal. So let's get to Wingman's weight. As many of you know, last week I went up the wrong way. So this week, remember, we started here at 236 pounds. Last week, we went all the way kind of up. Yeah, to 215. Sorry about that. Let's see if we got back on it. Where are we this week? Da-da-da. Yeah, 213. Back in the right direction. I know, can't believe it. Now the key is we're going to a vacation. Can I maintain? Lord knows I'm going to try. Let's get right to we have fan feedback this week. By the way, that was 2 alsos, and now it's 3. We're going to bring Matt Fossa, who did the music. You guys may recognize him for the end credits music. He created a piece of music directly for Wingman's Hangar, and we're going to have an interview with him. So, talking to Matt Fossa, what's Matt done? Some really cool stuff. Tell him what you've done, Matt.
Well, I decided around about episode 3 that you needed some theme music, and I decided it was a good time when I could do it, so I sat down and crunched out a whole bunch of notes in my sketchbook here, and then I transferred it into my computer, and in 8 days I had a piece for you.
Tell us how that came about. I mean, how did you write the music?
Well, like I said, it was a good time for me to do this. I'm a professional symphony musician. There's my oboe behind me here. I was playing an opera called The Barber of Seville. Now, what this has to do with anything is the fact that the oboe does not play much in that show. So I would be sitting for long stretches waiting for a chance to play. Yeah, Rossini must have just hated the oboe that month or something. And so I'm sitting there watching my friends and the flutes and clarinets play, and I'm going, well, there's this really cool Wingman's Hangar show that needs theme music, and while I'm sitting here doing nothing, I'm going to write. So I grabbed this. I just had it with me on my stand, and I just started writing away. And my friends that sit next to me in the flutes were watching as the music was growing from here. And by about intermission, it was about to here.
Wow, that's fantastic. One of the coolest things about Cloud Imperium is that we kind of feel like we're one of those gathering spots for creatives, a place for everybody to get together and exchange ideas. It sort of is a community like that, and we just love the music you put together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love doing it, and love this show. And seeing how it's grown and evolved on its own over these months has been really, really cool.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So you're an oboist in how many orchestras now?
2. The Pensacola Symphony Orchestra, that's where I got started. I've been there now for 11 and a half years. And I also am the principal oboist and now personnel manager, actually, of the Northwest Florida Symphony in a town about an hour away called Niceville.
I can tell you as a personnel manager that is an entirely different skill set. So you compose the music, And you actually got it recorded by a live orchestra.
So I thought, well, what the heck? I'll send this to the music director and see what he has to say. So I sent him an email, said, new orchestra piece by me. And he looked at it, and a couple of weeks later, I got an email back saying, can you get the parts ready for our Mother's Day Pops concert? And I said, heck yes.
That is awesome. Now listen, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, how did you get involved in Star Citizen?
Well, okay, I got into Star Citizen because I was a regular visitor to WC News, and there were these things, time capsule links and things from Roberts Space Industries, and I was like, what the heck is this? So I finally decided to click on the link, and I was just greeted with this amazing, at the time to me, website with all this cool information, anticipating 1010. I'm actually a golden ticket holder.
Another fellow golden ticket holder.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, I'm just going to wrap it up here. I just want to say thank you for the composition of the music. And our community needs to know if they do something really cool, we're going to feature it. Right, Matt?
Absolutely.
So where are we going to see you?
In the verse.
And we're going to be featuring Matt's orchestral recording in the end credits. Be sure to check that out. I also want to mention that Nathan Dearsley started this week for us. He's in London, and he's going to be trucking his way over to the Austin studio pretty soon. And now you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for forum feedback. And this time we're roping in lead designer Rob Irving. How you doing, Rob?
Good, Eric. How you doing?
I'm good. So we figure we'll get some good answers here. I mean, neither one of us is Chris Roberts, to be honest.
Absolutely not.
I mean, there's only one man. The man, the legend. But in the meantime, we'll do the best we can, right? So let's get right to it. Heartsblade asks,
Hey Wingman, Heartsblade here. Has the dev team considered holding community auditions for some of the Squadron 42 and Star Citizen voiceovers?
We have definitely considered doing that. It would be an excellent idea, in fact, to get the fans more involved. Of course, it would help to have a sound studio, wouldn't it?
It would help to have a sound studio, and that would make a decent stretch goal.
We should think of that.
We should think of that. You know what's really funny, though? There is a rule we have about any of the games we do. Now, the games I've recorded, I've done a lot of audio direction and stuff like that before, is that I let everybody on the dev team record a voice and try out for things. And there was only one rule. Do you know what that one rule was?
Don't suck.
That's right. Don't suck. So if they sucked, did they make it in the game?
No.
I can still recall my lead programmer on Conquest coming in and saying, I didn't hear my name in the game. And I went, and he goes, I sucked. I went, he just didn't make it. So we may do fan recordings. That's something really cool and something we'd like to possibly explore if we had a sound studio. And the only rule is?
Don't suck.
Don't suck. From The Target. Will there be a showroom to view ships before purchasing in-game? Ideally a showroom that you could walk and kick the tires, so to speak. What about a test drive option? Will there be showrooms?
It's sort of like the Hangar app. It's a showroom.
Well, not really. I think what he's asking for is like a dealership.
Yeah, a dealership. That's that might not be a bad thing to do in like the simulator, for instance, when we get that in.
Well, what about the game itself? I mean, Drake Industries will have a place. You'll have to go to a planet for that.
Sure, you could stop by Drake and visit there.
Robert Space Industries. So yes, there will be showrooms. Correct? Yeah. All over, but they won't all be like in one location.
No.
They're spread out.
You have to work.
We want you to explore. We want you to move around, right? Cool. All right, from Lithius, he asks, when we decide to drop cargo in space, will that cargo remain in space available for another player to fly by and pick it up? And if so, how long will that cargo stay floating in space? And if it does stay floating in space, will Newtonian physics be applied to that object?
That's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions.
Okay. Yes, it will stay around, but not forever.
Right.
We can't just have, barricades of cargo floating in space.
Could you imagine it would be like Earth's getting right now with all the satellites and debris up there?
Absolutely.
Bumping into stuff left and right.
Giant dump.
Right, exactly. We don't want that in our game.
Gets added to Spider later on.
Yeah,
and then,
there you go. That's right. Spider's the big dumps vacuum.
So then we would we would apply physics, of course. Nothing's going to exist in the world without physics. That would make Chris very unhappy.
Yeah, and it's going to stay around. If you've defeated somebody and you want to tractor beam in some stuff, I mean, it's going to stay around long enough for you to at least get that. Now, but it will fade.
Yeah, you can't come back 3 days later and still find it floating there. We just can't keep all that stuff around.
But if two people blow each other up and you just happen to be passing by, there might be stuff there for you to grab.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So it will stay there for a little while. And how long that is will be determined in test for us. And with them, too. You guys will help us test it. From Silence says, Are you considering new goals since we now have hit the 10 million mark?
We just did that.
We did. We kind of did. Maybe. There might be some new goals coming. What do you think? There might be new goals coming?
I might have a few ideas.
Yeah, you might have some few ideas. So look for that. Look for some comlink posts, some updates, live streams coming. There just might be some new goals. There might be new goals by the time this show airs. So you never know. And from Exec, he said,
"Good morning, Wingman. This is the moon. Will I still exist in the Star Citizen universe? Which role will I play?"
That was interesting.
I don't know what to say about that video. I mean, that was some... Apparently the moon has a voice.
The moon has a voice, and the moon, as far as I know, is still around. We've only destroyed one moon so far, and we're not going to go on this rampage and destroy all of them.
And we would be remiss if we didn't say, "That's no moon!"
It's a race station.
Yeah, it's right. Now this name's really hard here. Mello Willems. Are there any job openings involving Star Citizen that don't involve programming or coding?
Which are kind of the same thing.
Yeah, programming and coding are pretty much the
sort
same. Yeah, sometimes we'll post any of the jobs on the Cloud Imperium site. We just hired a new designer that starts next week.
We did.
Right? Yeah. But mostly, just look for the Cloud Imperium site. Right now, coding and programming, engineering is our number one need. So look for the Cloud Imperium site, check out the job postings, and we'll keep them updated and keep you guys in the loop because, we need more people and we like you guys.
We do like
the
fans.
we do. And now this is a regular coming up from Legante.
Excellent.
Hey, get up here. Yeah, hold on to this camera for me. Don't worry, you have to stay alive for a little longer. Hey, stay up. Hey, Wingman, Legante here. A squadron efficiency and organization is really important. Now, it's curious what we'd be able to get together and everyone can organize it. That's pretty. Like your nerd eye down. Anyway, what kind of tools will squadron leaders have in order to organize squadrons as a whole, such as squadron assignments, missions, get everybody working together in one squadron? Well, now you've done it. Drop the camera. Your buddy a couple weeks ago in the tunnel is a lot more resilient than you are. Well, you know what they say about hunting something too long? Get hunted yourself. Good night.
Love Legante's videos. He and Kid Shadow have some pretty cool stuff going on.
That's pretty impressive.
I know. There's like a whole serial story going. People need to follow that. It's pretty neat. Yeah. So how can they talk to their squad mates? What do they do?
We're going to have tools for that. We had a very interesting forum post going last week where I asked the fans for feedback on that. We're still putting together all those ideas and talking about them. So we really can't give you too much information on it yet, but there are definitely going to be tools for running your team, whatever your team is called.
Right, and not to mention, VoIP helps too if you tell them, hey, watch out for that asteroid! All right, from Zijal says, will Wingman maintain his diet while on vacation? Is that... Of course I will.
Sure.
Yes, I will definitely do the diet.
We'll be redacting that number the week after.
Listen, you know what? We'll find out because you guys have been great at keeping me in check, and so I'm actually going to try to maintain it somewhat. I'm still going to stay away from pastas and breads and stuff, but
beer.
Yeah, I may not make that one. I'll try to just stick to whiskey maybe or something, We'll give it a shot. I mean, we're about halfway to where we want to be, so I want to try to get there, and it's pretty important to do that. So I want to thank you, Rob, for coming on the show today and helping us out with forum feedback. we might make this a regular thing. We'll probably bring you on for next week's show, which we're going to shoot in about 20 more minutes. And so we expect to have Rob next week, too. It's pretty fun stuff to do. So right now, coming up is Brittany Godfrey with the MVP post. Take it away, Brittany.
Thanks, Eric. Gollum Shed started this week's MVP when he asked Star citizens about careers in space racing, Formula One style. This sparked great debates about the fastest ships, different courses, and tournaments. Thanks, Gollum Shed. You made the most valuable post. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some trials to run. Back to you, Eric.
Wow, I love the creativity of our fans. Thanks, Brittany. And now it's time for Wide World News. NASA's Curiosity rover continues to astound Earthlings with its abilities. Meanwhile, back on the planet, 15 teams of university student scientists recently drove robotic rovers around a barren, Martian-like landscape west of Hanksville, Utah. The student teams competed in the University Rover Challenge to build a vehicle for a theoretical Mars mission. The logistics of a remotely controlled all-terrain vehicle with research and analysis capabilities can stagger the contestants, who could put in several thousand combined hours of work only to watch their machine flounder in a sand dune. Tasks for the rovers included servicing theoretical equipment by flipping light switches and cleaning dust off a panel, and assisting future humans by delivering numbered packages to scarecrows dressed as astronauts. In the end, the team from Białystok University of Technology in Poland would emerge victorious, taking first place with their Hyperion rover. The University Rover Challenge, now in its 7th year, draws students from all over the world for a competition. And now it's time for a look back in This Week in Space.
June 16th, 1963, and Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova is about to become the first woman to fly in space. Selected from more than 400 applicants due to her proletarian background, her experience as an amateur parachutist, and because her father is a war hero. Final countdown, and Vostok 6 lifts from the launch pad, a perfect beginning to a sensational mission. Although Tereshkova experiences nausea and physical discomfort for much of the flight, she orbits the Earth 48 times and spends almost 3 days in space. A proud Soviet achievement. Upon her return to Earth, Tereshkova would become a national hero, be many times decorated, and serve as a representative of the Soviet Union in international politics. Valentina Tereshkova, the Earth's first woman in space.
And that is your Wide World News. And taking the reins, but never ever replacing Sandy, Michael Moreland interviews our very own Ron LaJoie.
All right, so welcome. Ron, you've joined us recently. Why don't you tell us your name and what you're doing here?
Sure. My name is Ron LaJoie, and just because I get this a lot in Texas, if you see my name written, it's LaJoie, not LaHoy, Lavoy. If you want to get fancy with it, you can do the French part and do LaJoie.
How did you get started in the game industry? What was your first experience?
So I actually started professionally in customer service at Turbine, doing, I was a senior GM on Dungeons & Dragons Online and Lord of the Rings Online. That was an interesting start. I also did live events for Lord of the Rings Online. So, we would take control of a named character and just basically go into a zone, and, you had a script you had to say, and you would spawn monsters in and basically just try to wreak havoc across the land. It was good times.
Now, I understand you also did some work for Ultima Online.
Not officially, but when I was in my later teen years, I got into kind of the player run shards that people had, and I helped out manage and admin some of those. And I also got into the Neverwinter Nights. There was a lot of persistent run servers, and I helped do a lot of writing and content creation for those.
As often happens, hobbies somehow become careers, and you managed to transition from your amateur work with these games into something and getting paid. How did that happen?
it's kind of interesting, actually. I did that stuff because I enjoyed it, and I never really considered it a career at any point, even a career choice. I went to college for creative writing, and I got out of college and was just kind of doing my thing. And at one point, I was like, this isn't doing it for me. I want to make games, and so I just started sending my resume out as much as I could, everybody.
So what brought you down to Austin?
So I was under contract with Turbine, and basically if it was going to go full-time, I was going to stay in Boston. If not, I was going to come to Austin kind of on a whim. My wife was already here. She had a full-time job, so boom, came down and ended up at Midway a couple months later, just all kind of on a whim.
What did you do at Midway?
So I started at Midway as a producer. Essentially, we had what was called the Central Outsourcing Group at Midway.
So apparently you moved on from Midway and ended up at Lightbox.
Yes. I was actually unemployed for almost 9 months between Midway and Lightbox. And I was at Lightbox for almost 4 years, I think about 3.5 years. We released Starhawk.
So how did you get connected with the Star Citizen effort?
Mostly because of the Lightbox crew. Adam Poole, who is an associate producer here, was buried in work, and help was needed when it got to the point that Eric decided that they needed a production manager or a project manager. Everybody here was nice enough to recommend it.
Let's going back a little bit. What was your first experience with a Chris Roberts game?
The Winged Commander series, I played that. I think I played 1 and 2. The memories are vague, but Freelancer was a big one for me. I played that game probably too much when it came out.
You're going to be taking care of this team and making sure they hit their milestones. And
absolutely.
It's absolutely brilliant to have you here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And now here he is, right here with us. How you doing, Ron?
Good, man. How you doing?
So project manager on a project this big
Yes.
must kind of present a lot of unique challenges.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, so what have you been, you've just joined us recently, so
Yes.
what have you been diving in and doing for us?
Just mostly been working on high-level schedule, making sure everybody's very focused. We have a goal at least through the end of this year. We're doing things very differently.
Right.
Very differently.
It is very differently because
Yes.
we're having a lot of audience participation.
Yep.
We're releasing things as we go, which has never been done before, and that's going to present some unique challenges
Absolutely.
that we're doing releases along the way essentially, and we've all done releases before, but
Not like this.
not like this.
This is, usually, hey, we're going to make a game, go dark for 2 to 7 years, and then boom.
Not 7,
Wow.
not 7 years. So I understand you did something called Tough Mudder.
Yes, I did.
What is a Tough Mudder?
So it's an obstacle race. It is 12 miles long, and there was between 22 and 25 obstacles.
And you ran this thing?
Yes.
12-mile race, and,
Yep.
and is it like, is there mud involved? Is that
Oh,
supposed-
yeah, it was
Or does it have
incredibly
something to do
muddy.
with Firefly and Jane the Mudder or something?
No, not quite.
So how long did it take you to do?
I finished in about 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Were you tired, or was there beer involved after?
There
or-
was beer involved after. You
Yep.
get a free Dos Equis at the end.
One?
One Dos Equis, then you have
12.
to buy more.
12? Yes. And I'll bet you did, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, though. It was tough, but it was a blast. I'll do it again for sure.
Are you really? You going to do
Yep.
it again?
Yep.
Cool. Now, did you take a while for your body to recover after that?
Oh, absolutely. We did it on a Saturday, and Sunday was all but useless.
Right.
And just everything was sore.
See? That's why the wingman's trying to lose the weight without actually exercising. I don't want to be useless. Right, honey? Just kidding. So you're also into martial arts.
Yes.
What do you...
I've studied Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over the years.
Right, those are two very different things.
Yes, very much so. I enjoy kicking things, though, so I always end up going back to Taekwondo.
So what level did you reach? Are you black belt or?
No, so I've gotten up to red belt in Taekwondo in probably 3 different schools. Life gets in the way every time, and I end up moving somewhere or, just working so much that I don't have the time to
My
get
oldest
into it.
son is Colton, or the Winglet, as everybody in the fans know him. It's funny, my family is Wingman, Winglet's my oldest son, Hot Wing, which my
Hot
wife
Wing.
really likes. She likes
Oh,
the Hot
bet.
Wing. She loves that name, so good job naming her that. And then Six Wing, which is my youngest son. It's all his number 6 in all the sports he plays. So
I see.
it's kind of fun. But the point was, Winglet is a Dabanim in Musulwan.
Oh, very nice.
Which is black belt candidate. So
Right.
he's got 5 brown belt stripes.
That's
And-
awesome.
Yeah, and it's amazing. He's doing it. It's kind of sad when your 14-year-old could kick his dad's butt, but I still got the beef. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope to get my kids into it.
Yeah, it's
soon.
pretty cool. Now you have kids too. How many kids do you
I
have?
have 2, boy and a girl,
Boy and a girl, and the ages?
5 and 4.
Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
So have you started kindergarten yet for that? I mean,
Not yet. My daughter missed the cutoff date, so she actually starts this coming August.
that's all right. You know, it's almost better to be a little older, I think, than to be a little younger.
Yeah.
So she's the oldest then?
Yes.
5 and 4. That's cool.
Yeah, I think they're gonna start martial arts soon, probably within the next year.
Yeah,
or so.
5 is the age that Colton
good.
starts. Yeah, that's a good point. So birds. I hear you like birds.
Oh god, I can't stand birds.
You don't like birds?
No, they're annoying. They're loud. They crap all over my car.
They do.
They attack me.
Didn't you think we're kind of invading their space, though?
Well,
What do you mean they attack you?
so
The birds are. What is like the Alfred Hitchcock movie?
there is literally a crow that hangs out in my neighborhood who will dive bomb me if I go outside the front of my house.
Are you serious?
Mhm. This started last year, and he shows up every year.
A dive bombing crow.
Yeah, and he has a family. He's a whole family now, so they will. I can walk out in my front yard, and you can see them on each roof.
You need to
staring at
videotape
me.
that. That's totally cool.
It's insane.
Because you could get him like coming right at you.
I almost caught him one time.
Ooh.
He tried to sneak up behind me, and I heard him coming. I turned around. I almost caught him with my bare hands.
Really?
Yes.
What would you do with a crow if you caught it with your bare hands? No, I don't want to know. No,
You probably don't.
We don't want to know. We don't call the SPCA because we don't want to know. So, I understand you also like whiskey.
I love whiskey. I'm
What-
a huge whiskey
Now,
fan.
okay, so there's lots of kinds of whiskey.
Sure.
What's your types?
I mean, I run the gamut. You know, if I'm trying to be cheap at a bar, I'll do whiskey and Diet Coke, but
So bourbon or Scotch whiskey or both?
both.
Yeah, me too.
One of the big things I've been trying to get my hands on for years is some Pappy Van Winkle.
Mm-hmm.
Never had it. I've heard amazing things. You know, they do a limited
Imagine.
release,
Right.
and every time I try to get some, they go in, they're like, no, we already sold out. We only
Oh.
got 2 bottles. It's already gone.
Not good, not good. So, what are some of your favorites then?
You know, my go-to is Makers.
Maker's Mark. There's nothing wrong with Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
That's a good
It's
whiskey.
a good go-to.
Have you tried Woodford Reserve? On
I
that
love
side?
Woodford.
Oh man, big
Love
time.
Woodford.
You know, there's a lot of new boutique stuff out there, like
There is.
Jefferson,
Yeah, Jefferson's
1773.
good. Yeah, I love that.
Bullet.
Bullet's a good, it's decent.
Medium. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's great, but I mean, these are the ones that are. Have you tried Garrison Brothers?
I've not, no.
That's pretty good. The one that's made here in Texas. It's
I'll
a little
try it.
pricey, but it's pretty good. Now, what about Scotch whiskeys though?
I love good Scotch whiskey.
Well, now, what do you have any favorites there?
Not particularly.
See, I'm a Lagavulin guy.
Oh, okay.
I like the peaty Lagavulin
Sure.
taste. Ardbeg's a little harsh for me. Lagavulin's good. Macallan 15.
Macallan,
Oh man,
You have to
can't-
love Macallan.
Yeah, I know. So there's some
Everybody
good.
does.
There's some good scotches out there. In fact, kind of want one. In fact, if you're going to send some scotch in here,
Now you know.
yeah, now you know. And I understand you also did some pole vaulting.
Yeah, I was a pole vaulter in high school.
Now, how high did you end up getting?
I think my highest was near the school record, which I think was 12.6.
12 feet 6 inches. I don't think the pole would actually pole vault the wingman. I think it would not be pretty.
It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, well, there you go. You can get your crow diving on you, and I'll be breaking
Oh,
the
there we
pole
go.
vault things
Yeah.
for you. And so I'd be remiss again. There's that third remiss in one show. This is educational. So what are you looking forward to most in Star Citizen?
Just the way things are being done. I think the process, production manager, obviously the process. It's kind of opposite of the way things are usually done.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're engaging people earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We're, I guess usual is a different word because we're doing an iterative process and we're doing a lot of the things that Chris has done before on Wing Commanders. I mean,
absolutely.
You're new to this, but so we're kind of melding some of the old waterfall with the new agile. So
Yeah.
it's kind of we have the big picture, but we're also doing smaller tasks.
I mean, the internal process is much the same. It's a very iterative, creative process.
Right, exactly.
But normally it's iterative and creative, and you have to prove it out to a publisher. You have to greenlight it. You have to.
Well, we are
every month.
We are greenlighting every week.
Yeah.
And that is crazy. But I got to tell you, and I've told this story before. We did Starlancer, and we put 6 months into doing this cooperative multiplayer thing, and nobody played it.
Right.
So we're going to get that feedback from folks immediately, which will
Early
stop
on,
us
yeah.
from going down those rabbit
time.
holes, which is a huge deal.
Absolutely.
So are you having fun so far?
Yeah.
It's pretty
It's a
cool.
good
isn't it?
time.
It is a good time. We're very lucky to have you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You came, where did you come from exactly? You were
Previous to this, I was at Armature Studio, and before that, I was with Lightbox.
Lightbox, so another Lightbox employee. We
Yeah.
just keep raiding.
Taking over.
Right. Well, and good. And Lightbox it got a new deal, so
Yeah,
they've
they're
got a
doing
small
great.
team. They're doing great. We're happy
doing great.
for Dylan and the guys
Very
up
much
there. I want to thank you for joining us
Thank
this
you.
week.
Appreciate it.
Thanks to the subscribers for making this happen. Thanks to the pledgers for making all of this happen. Thanks to Chris Roberts for making it happen as well. Coming up this week, we have environmental artists starting in LA, Dave Opreska. We have new designer Blake Yates starting on Monday. Jason Spangler, our own CTO, is heading to Montreal
That's right.
to expand our team up there. He's going to go meet with a bunch of programmers and assign some work, bring some people together, and Montreal grows. We also are sending our own Forrest. You guys might remember Forrest with the snap on the green screen and the tats that disappear into the back of the green screen. He's heading to Void Alpha. It's another group we're working with in San Francisco to help us do planet side stuff. Yeah. We have so many different places to land. There's 100 and some odd systems. Each one has 3 or 4 places to go, so we have a lot of content to make. And so Forrest is going there. Also, I'll be gone for next week. We'll be pre-recording the next episode. When you watch this, I'll actually be about a day away from winging the way to Atlantis in the Bahamas. Can't wait. I might have a tan, and if my wife lets me take my shirt off, I pity the fools out there. Don't forget, we have a 24-hour live show starting on June 28th coming up. Pete's Make-A-Wish. He's going over the edge on Saturday. We'll have an update on that next week's show. So good luck to Pete. We hope he survives.
I hope so.
Yeah, we kind of need Pete.
I like Pete.
Yeah, I like Pete, the Weather Wizard. He's going to be up in a different stratosphere coming down. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to find out what goes on a weekly or daily basis, we put the videos on Comlink. We also put them up on YouTube, and you'll get alerted to what's going on, the latest and greatest here at Star Citizen. Don't forget the after show, Wingman's Hangover. It's about 15 minutes after the show. We'll be join us in the chat roll on the RSI site. We'll be talking back and forth with people. You'll kind of maybe sometimes get some sneak peeks. Who knows? Join us in about 15 minutes after the show. Remember, if you want your stuff featured on Wingman's Hangar, send it in. We just might use it. Where are we going to see him? In the verse.
It is forbidden for you to interfere. It is forbidden. Forbidden.